These are basically musings and things that I want to talk about. So, number one, Knuckles has a show coming out in a couple days, the 26th. It'll be out on Paramount. Um, we all liked the Sonic movies. They were good for what they were because of the visual effects on and the cartoon and the way the heart and story. They're not the amazing movies that they need to be, but we accept them because, if you have to have Sonic in a human world with human people, and it's not all animated, or it's not at least that Sonic is a rocket raccoon in a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of world. The animation works for the game and it works. So anyway, Knuckles, I was happy with the first two movies of Sonic. Knuckles is awesome. I love Knuckles. I can't wait to see Shadow. And I decided that it would be cool to set up a huge cinematic universe inside Sonic for Part Four, with Shadow and everybody else and all the other remaining characters to kind of have a sort of giant Super Smash Brother opening kind of awesomeness while still being a movie about simplicity, just kind of putting putting the Super Smash Brother in the future, way ahead in the future. It's kind of like saying it's 1984 and you're going to get to see Avengers Endgame sequence. You're like, okay, well, in 2019, you'll see Avengers Endgame, but now in 1984, we showed you just a little glimpse of where our Iron Man character is in the Battle of Endgame, and we're going to build to it. So anyway, Knuckles, the only thing I didn't like is, once again, I'm going to talk about this as, I know I shouldn't because it comes off as anti-Semitic, but usually as a kid, I never realized or knew anything about Judaism or Jews. The only Jew I knew was Jesus, and how he talked about the Jews as people from the old times. And you'd meet Jewish people based on what they wore, based on how they wore, composed themselves. War, not war, W-A-R, war, W-O-R-E. They wore certain things. You go, oh, those are Jews. And you realize that, oh, they love each other, the Holocaust, all that stuff. And they were in more power, they were in a sense of more power and more money and more control, and lots was being run by them. And this is now coming off where you're like, some review just told us that Knuckles has a sequence where some guy goes to his sabbath and they talk about the Jews and him being a Jew and all, and I'm like, what the hell does this have to do with Knuckles? I'm Cuban. Would we just go to Cuba and start talking about communism? Would I take Knuckles and say, oh yeah, Fidel Castro is a piece of crap, come and give me some support here to fight the police in Cuba? Like, no, I wouldn't do that. I would never do that. I go to Cuba and we just see the characters interacting in Cuba, and fine. But I go, this kind of Jewish Sabbath, I go, we see this shit in every Jewish run production. They always have some character who's Jewish, and it's not enough that he's just Jewish. He's got to tell you that he's Jewish, try to never really convert you, but show the process of converting into Judaism and how they celebrate their God and everything. And I'm always like, oh my God, this is like they kind of they're kind of like the people who are like, since we're paying for this show, put some Jews doing some Jewish things. And you're like, I'm sorry, but on the day of Independence Day, the only thing I liked about Independence Day is that when they had the Jewish father, he goes, I'm not Jewish. And he goes, well, nobody's perfect. And it was funny. And we love that father character. And he's a Jewish guy. And he's a part, and they're helping, everybody's there trying to destroy this damn motherships that are blowing up the world. And everybody comes together, and they did bring Jews. And it didn't feel like, oh, we had to put a Jewish guy in there. We just put him in. Could you imagine if all of a sudden an alien comes and they're like, oh, let's go over here to Israel and have a conversation with the alien? You're like, are you Israeli? Are you? It's like, what? It just like, I'm sorry, Knuckles. I'm not being anti-Semitic, but I go, that's stupid. A TV series where somebody's Jewish and we have to stop the entire story to convert Knuckles to Judaism and teach him about religions, and we go, okay, I guess Sonic is a Jewish voice, and this guy's like, I think it's that the Jews are like, we don't want to tell this stupid kid story that belongs to everybody in the world. It's not a Jewish run game. It's an amazing Sega Genesis game that could be on any platform. He's Sonic the Hedgehog. and they make it Jewish, and I feel like one of the things interesting is everybody like David Cornsweet because he doesn't look like a normal Jew. He looks like a Clark Kent. He looks like a Superman. And now I think they're gonna acknowledge that yes, he is Jewish. His heritage is that he's Jewish because he's really Jewish. So they're gonna acknowledge that in Superman, and it's gonna be like, so how did a guy from Krypton become Jewish with the Jews on Earth? And you're like, just seeing stuff like that, you're like, I don't care if an actor is Jewish because Andrew Garfield is Jewish. He played Spider-Man. But when you bring up the fact that someone is Jewish, you go, well, guess what? The Holocaust happened to your people. What are you going to do to stop it? Spider-Man can't say, oh, I can't do anything to stop it. Really? There's a quantum realm. You might be able to go back in time and stop it. You might be able to do something. Oh, no, but we can't because whatever happened. I'm like, no, but it's still, at the end of the day, when you look back at the history of the Jews, you're like, wouldn't the Jews just want to take control and power over all the dominion of what exists in the Marvel universe? It's like being the writer. We go, if I'm the Cuban writer, I say the Cubans now control the United States of America and South America and France and this, and you could write that stuff, but everybody would laugh their ass off at you, going, that would never happen because the Russians would kick your ass over here, and the French would do this, and you go, it's funny. It's just funny. You can't write yourself as a I'm a Cuban or I'm a Jew or you can't write that. You have to just be, I'm Tails, I'm Sonic, I'm Knuckles, I'm Dr. Robotnik. You don't go, I'm having a Sabbath, on the Sabbath, a Jewish Sabbath, it just doesn't work. It's stupid. Another thing that I want to talk about, which I guess that's pretty much all I can talk about, is that Knuckles just ruined everything, is the Deadpool Wolverine trailer. We need to see X Force next. Rated R X Force next. Because that's it. Once you show Wolverine and Deadpool being badasses, killing and doing badassness, there's nowhere for those characters to exist. Deadpool only exists with X-Men characters. Wolverine only exists with X-Men characters. Maybe you can put Wolverine with Hulk and Spider-Man and move them around, but it just gets to that fucking place where you're like, Wolverine is too serious. He's a guy who goes to a bar and gets a beer and picks up a woman and has sex with her. And when you suddenly say, oh my God, Moon Knight is here, it's like, there were comic books that were in the world of Wolverine. I think he would feel like, did I come into a fucking comic book world? Because it just doesn't, X-Men felt real and Deadpool felt somewhat real. And the new trailer kind of is incredible with the way they say the bad words, the way they, it looks like a damn good movie that's worth a lot of work that they put into it, and it's going to make $1 billion. But ultimately, that's because there was so much failure. It took a lot of failure for that movie to really be noticed, because it's a labor of love for all the movies that have come out for the past 24 years. There's 24 years that have made Deadpool and Wolverine work, where we had 2000 X-Men, and then we had 2016 Deadpool, and now we have 2024 Wolverine and Deadpool. Pretty great, pretty great. So X Force would be awesome. My picks for X Force are Archangel, Phantom X, Nightcrawler, Psylocke, Wolverine, Deadpool, and Cable and Domino. So, but like I said, that's just what I want to see. And I don't know what the story would be, because they're not going to fight any of the Marvel heroes and kill them. It's not like Star-Lord's going to show up and fight Nightcrawler and get his ass killed. So, yeah, I think it's cool. Wolverine, Deadpool, pretty good. Can't wait to see it. And X-Force is the next one. And as for the comments on Jews, I've done a lot of Jewish comments lately because they're at war, and we're still talking about how the hostages were taken. We're still talking, like, we talk about it and it's happening, and we're not really doing anything. We're just spending money. It's like war is the most profitable thing you could fucking do next to viruses and COVIDs, and like, it's so profitable how these things happen, and then billions of dollars are transferred, And you go, well, where's the money going? And the money's going to, to fight attacks or this or that. But then you see what they don't talk about is like what happened with COVID. All the people who were sick with COVID, who had it in them, it's probably still in them, in their body somehow. And then we talk about all the vaccines that killed people. We're not really talking about stuff here. We're just kind of ignoring and trying to enjoy a movie. People are trying to escape. We're really living in a Vision Pro Ready Player One time where people want to put some eye goggles on and just escape because we don't have money for house. We don't have money for car insurance. We don't have jobs. AI is coming. We really want to live in a kind of augmented, cerebral kind of danger room reality of fun. That's it.